Good morning, everyone. Now, I think you would admit that's an entrance, no? Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see you all today. Are we all good? We all well? Yes. Wow, what a lovely audience. So much better looking than last year's. And you're all well. No, you all survived the weather, the storms, everything. We survived Joseph and Kristin. Gemalahet in Joseph and Kristin, no? They're not welcome. They're not welcome. But today, you are very welcome. And it is an absolute pleasure to welcome you once again to the John Mackintosh Hall Theatre for this, the 11th edition of GibTalks. And we are looking forward to being joined by a sellout crowd, although no hay mucho sitio from what I can see, but they'll be joining us over the course of the day to spend the next 7 hours or so doing one of the things that Gibraltarians do best, talking. My name is Julian Felice, and it's a joy for me to be hosting the event this year, especially as I heard a little rumour that they were planning to replace me this year. Thank you. Apparently they wanted to replace me with a more attractive model, but luckily Andy Coombe was already booked, so looks like you're stuck with me. But I actually wasn't going to say anything this year because, let's face it, those of you who've been here before, and many of you have been here a few times, in fact, some of you all the way back to our first event back in 2015, and good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Delaney, lovely to see you again. You've all heard this before. What could I possibly stand here for the 11th time and say that you haven't heard me say 10 times already? So I honestly was not going to say anything to start off today's event. But then when I started thinking about it, I realized that if there's one thing that the past 10 editions of GibTalks has taught us, is that we should never stop talking. We should never stop sharing our stories. We should never stop telling people about our ideas. We should never stop talking about our experiences. And then when I thought about it even more, I realized that we've actually been doing that for a very long time. We've been GibTalking for much longer than just these past 10 years. We've been GibTalking since Hercules said, I can't be bothered to walk around these two mountains. I'm just going to use my godlike strength to push them apart. We've been GibTalking since a caveman in Gorham's cave turned to his family and said, look at this pattern that I've carved on the wall. I'm going to call it a hashtag. We've been GibTalking since Tariq ibn Zayed said, look at that rock. I'm going to land on it, and I'm going to put my name on it. We've been GibTalking since Queen Isabella of Spain said, here, I made you this flag. We've been GibTalking since a Spanish watchman standing on the city walls looked out over the bay and said, look at that Anglo-Dutch fleet. I sure hope they won't attack us. We've been GibTalking since General Elliot said, you know this great siege? It's not really that great. We've been GibTalking since a British warship arrived on our shores to tell us that our greatest military hero had been killed in action. We've been GibTalking since Sir Joshua Hassan stood in front of the UN and told the world that we are a nation. We've endured countless sieges. We've been fought over by the Moors, the Spanish, the British. We've had our population snatched from their homes and evacuated to foreign lands. We've had the gates to the outside world slammed in our faces. We've been locked in our homes while a virus spread through our streets. And throughout all this time, we have kept on talking. And once a year, we celebrate that tradition by meeting here in the John Mackintosh Hall Theatre and asking members of our community to stand on this stage and talk to us. We give them a microphone, we give them 15 minutes, and most importantly, we lend them our ears. And the wonders of modern technology are such that we can now actually see what people are talking about. I want to refer you to this slide here, where we've prepared this Slido. Now, any of you who have ever been to a training event over the past 2 years, you'll be familiar with these because they're everywhere, no? But if you scan the QR code, you can actually, on your phones, answer our question, which is, which GibTalks 2015 to present stand out to you the most? Enter the speaker's name, choose as many as you want. And we have like a word cloud, and the bigger the word, the more popular the answer. Kenneth's phone has been quite busy. Resubmit. But here we can see some of the more popular talks that we've had since the very beginning. We've got, obviously, Kenneth standing out. We've got Gemma Arias Vasquez. She gave a great talk, although I would say that at my brother's wedding, hers was the second best talk that night. We've got, the Chief Minister, the Mayor of La Linea, Mary Chappie, of course, Tania Romani, Jonathan Douma, Peter Monterifo. And if you voted for Peter Monterifo, well, you've got a good day today. And you're going to be excited today. So here what we have is literally a visual record of what GibTalks has given us to talk about. And not just here in Gibraltar. If we look at our YouTube channel, people are listening to our talks in places like Australia, New Zealand. Greenland, not so much, because they've had other things to think about. And this morning, I got a lovely, lovely message from a former speaker all the way from Karachi in Pakistan, where they're talking about GibTalks, which is great. And so with that record, I think it's very important that this year we give you something more to talk about. And we like to think that there's something here today for everyone. If you like Knights of the Realm, for example, we've got Sir Joe Bossano for you. If you like KCs, we've got Peter Monterifo, and we've got Julian Santos. If you like MPs, we've also got Giovanni Origo. If you like MBEs, we've got Isabella Lul. In fact, we've got more letters than Father Christmas. But we also have a host of voices that will make the walls of this theatre ring. We'll be hearing today the voice of an artist who took a huge risk at a key time of her life and career. We'll be hearing the voice of a father. We'll be hearing the voice of a young creative. We'll be hearing the voice of an English teacher and writer. We'll be hearing the voice of a red and white patriot. We've been hearing the voice of a rapper and poet. We'll be hearing the voice. We won't be hearing mobile phones ring. We'll be hearing the voice of a trauma specialist. We'll be hearing the voice of a charity. And we'll be hearing the voice of a linguist. And we won't only just be able to hear the voices, we'll be able to see them as well, because you will have noticed that I'm not alone on stage. Now, no, my good friend Richard Weaver has not had an extreme operation. Instead, I'd like to welcome the hardest working person in GibTalks, our BSL interpreter for the day. Please welcome Lizzie Wharton. So with so many voices bouncing around this theatre today, there's no way that my voice was going to be the quiet one. So no, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to stand here for the 11th time and say nothing. Instead, I stand before you here proudly today and say this. Ladies and gentlemen, today, for the 11th time, GibTalks. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you.